Hello, I'm TJ Thielen at Source Allies, and welcome back to the series where we go through everything that you need to know for basic configuration of Codebeamer. This segment is about trackers. Now, what is a tracker? Well, as you can see here, trackers as an ALM container. It's essentially a way of storing anything involved in ALM. Now, what is ALM? Well, that stands for Application Lifecycle Management. Application Lifecycle Management can be defined as managing the development of software and products throughout their entire lifecycle. So that will include requirements, tasks, testing, documentation, change requests, and many more. So any piece of ALM will have its own defined container that you can store whatever you need to in it. So now I'm going to walk through how we could configure a tracker ourselves. So up here, if I navigate back to the trackers menu, there is a plus sign, which is creating your own new tracker. Now we're going to do this for a requirements tracker, just as an example. So what this requirement means is that by default, it'll have all of the configuration and fields of a requirement. Not that you can't add and change them, but it won't have things that the test cases have. So here I will add a name, which I'll just keep it simple and call it requirements. And I'll do a key name, just do rec. And here you can assign a color, and you'll get to see what that does pretty soon. It's a really easy way of uniquely seeing it from a visual standpoint. Then we have breadcrumb icon and normal icon. Those are going to be things like this is the icon, and then this is the breadcrumb, which you'll see an image in there if you set that too. For the purpose of this demo, I'm not going to add those, but I will add a description, which is just, I misspelled requirements. I'll just do any requirements needed for this process. All right, and then we have a few other things down here. We'll get more into that in advanced configuration. For now, we're just going to leave that how it is. Leave workflow checked because we will talk a little bit about that pretty soon, and hit save. Oh, one more thing that I forgot to mention back there. If you see this available as template, that's essentially meaning that if you wanted to create a new requirements tracker, it does have to be a requirements tracker here in order to use the template, but it'll be available with all the same fields and config that you're setting on this one. So that's a pretty cool feature. But yeah, so now you can see this color represents the color that we chose when configuring, and it's a nice way of setting it apart. If I go back to the trackers menu, here we go, requirements. And yeah, you can see we've now created our own tracker. So going into here, our final thing that I'm going to touch on is going to be that workflow. So if we click on these three buttons and go configure, we can now see that we can change anything that we need to in here. We could change the fields that come default. This is another thing that we'll touch more on advanced configuration if you'd like to check out that video. But for just basic configuration and getting it set up, we'll just leave it how it is. State transitions, however, is a pretty important thing to touch on, because this kind of shows you how a requirement will go through a process of being new, being set to draft, getting approved, accepted, rejected, and so on. So this is the default workflow diagram that shows you how any requirement will go from state to state. As you can see here, there's little names here which correspond to the names given up here that you could, they basically just say if you want to add something that can go add a path from new to accepted, you'll name an accept, and here's that little trace. So I'm going to show you this in action real quick, just to show you what this workflow diagram is really representing by creating an item in this requirements tracker. Let's see. Let's just do a test item showing off the state transitions. Save, and here. So as you can see, status is set to new. That's because in the workflow, you can see it goes straight from unset to new on the diagram. So the first one it'll have is new. From here, we can click these three dots, and we could define, approve, reject, or accept, because those are all the lines that touch that new status. And I'll kind of just walk through. Let's say we approve it. It'll ask us to save the tracker with any new things that we need to add. I'll just hit a save. And we can see now it turned green, and it says waiting for approval. From here, we can accept it, save again, and now it says accepted, and there's a line crossing it out because accepted means that it is closed. It has been accepted, no longer needs to be, it needs to show its difference. Yeah, so overall, that was kind of the entirety of creating a tracker and configuring it. Our next video is going to be about requirements management. So we're going to use this tracker and kind of show off a little bit more about what you can do with requirements. So I really encourage you to go watch that video. And yeah, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. Like the video if you enjoyed. And thank you. I am TJ at Source Allies. Have a good day.